At HeyWoodsOTG.com and on Facebook and Instagram. Haywoods. At Hiller's Fuel Oil, they don't hate the cold, they heat the cold. Hiller's believes there's no inconvenient time or location to deliver fuel. Hiller's providing on and off-road diesel, gasoline, grease, and motor oil skid tanks and loading racks for self-pickup. Locally owned for over 60 years, Hiller's makes first-time customers lifetime customers. 570-865-4879. Or look for the Exxon sign, Cemetery Street, Jersey Shore. Hiller's Fuel Oil, they don't hate the cold, they heat the cold. Hiller's Fuel Oil in Jersey Shore. Gerhardt Her Insurance has one question for you. How long have you had your insurance with one agency? Are you aware the insurance industry is changing all the time? Many recommend you review the cost of your policies and what that price covers every 3 years. So the smart thing to do is to call Gerhardt Her Insurance in Lock Haven, 570-748-8011. With a 49-year track record of serving Bear Country, they can take care of all of your business and personal insurance needs. Gerhardt Her Insurance, 570-748-8011. Your physical therapist should be as invested in your recovery as you are. Call 570-726-0331 for Chapel Physical Therapy, where you'll receive one-on-one treatment sessions from highly trained physical therapist Erica Chapel. Erica will develop a customized therapy plan to meet your individual needs. Currently welcoming new patients. Achieve your goals with Chapel Physical Therapy, Route 64 between Mill Hall and Lamar. 570-726-0331. Chapel Physical Therapy.
We're local, we're friendly, and we're fast. You gotta love the hometown guys.
So why is Kubota the best-selling subcompact lineup in America? It could be because between the cruise control, halogen headlights, hydrostatic transmission with high and low gear shift, you forget you're driving a subcompact. We're the hometown guys, Dotter Equipment, and we think you choose Kubota because our BX series has the power and versatility for plowing, digging, hauling, mowing, and much, much more. A powerful and efficient Kubota 3-cylinder diesel offers power unparalleled for tractors this size. And the family at Dotter Equipment offers service before and after the sale. The Kubota BX Subcompact from Dotter Equipment, Route 64 in Mill Hall and Route 75 South in Honey Grove. Online at DotterEquip.com. Dotterer for Kubota.
We're local, we're friendly, and we're fast. You gotta love the hometown guys. You gotta love the hometown guys.
Hey, Michelle, what did Jamie's teachers have to say at PTA tonight?
Great, except for math. Jamie's math teacher says that she spaces out during class and that she failed her last algebra exam. That's a big problem.
We went through the same thing with Kevin, but thanks to Math Made Easy, he's made a complete turnaround.
I've heard about Math Made Easy. How does it work?
They've got these terrific video reviews in all levels of math, with dynamic teachers who engage students with easy-to-follow explanations. With Math Made Easy, students control the pace of their learning. Math Made Easy even comes with a 30-day risk-free trial.
Wow, I have nothing to lose.
Right. Math Made Easy is a proven tool that will boost Jamie's grades and her confidence. It's an affordable alternative to pricey tutoring. Here, let me text the number to you. It's 1-800-USA-MATH, or you can visit mathmadeeasy.com.
Math Made Easy.
1-800-USA-MATH. 1-800-872-6284.
The Bear, Country 99.9.
Jonathan Schwab, Derek Caldwell, our producer Mike Lawson. Lock Haven Wrestling at home facing Clarion. The last time Lock Haven wrestled a duel in this building back on December the 4th. A win over George Mason. 60 days from that day to this day as the calendar travels quickly every year. We're already to February 2nd. Lock Haven meeting up with a Clarion squad they are very familiar with. It is a bit of a local rivalry. Clarion to the west, Bloomsburg to the east. Lock Haven leads the all-time series, 29-22-2. Lock Haven has won the last two meetings, including last year, 24-19 back on January 29th of 2016 at Clarion. We mentioned Scott Moore, the Lock Haven head coach. You heard him in the pre-match, a 2003 graduate of Penn State. Also wrestled at Virginia, where he earned his master's in 2004, a two-time collegiate All-American. He is, in addition to his Lock Haven responsibilities, the president of the EWL Coaches Association. He's assisted by Nate Carr Jr., Rob Weichel, and Eric Thompson. Clarion head coach is a Lock Haven graduate, Keith Ferraro, a 2003 graduate of Lock Haven. In his third season, he has taken a program that when he inherited it was in a rough position and has improved the quality of the program significantly. Before taking over as the head coach, he was a 2-year Clarion assistant, also spent 6 years as an assistant coach for one of the better high school programs in the state at Brookville. He's assisted by Kyle Kiss and volunteer assistant Joe D'Angelo. Clarion last year, 7-12 overall, 2-4 in the EWL. They're looking for their second EWL win tonight. Our official for this match is Charlie Harris. Lock Haven will be in the crimson singlets, Clarion in the gold singlets. For those of you just joining us, we will begin at 174 pounds, where it'll be senior Adam Mackey from Bechtelsville, PA, 19-12 on the year for Lock Haven, against Clarion's Dom Rigas. He's 12-5 this season. Redshirt junior out of Warrington, PA. Derek, what are you looking for right off the bat in our first meetup of the night?
Well, I think you really have to look at, what Mackey's offensive ability is. We always talk about him being able to create big offense. He's not afraid to throw, and really he's one of the pin leaders in the country right now in terms of Division I victories against, Division I opponents. For him, he's going to look to get to some big moves early. But Rigas, he's a seasoned vet. He's got a 12-5 record coming into tonight, so he's no slouch, and he's gonna know what to do to try to counter that. But here we see Mackey getting to his underhooks right away and looking to dig in and score some points early.
A nice shade of dark gray surrounding the crimson on the Lock Haven singlets tonight. As if you're watching via Havencast, we welcome you tonight as well. The two wrestlers to their knees, 25 seconds in. No score yet. You mentioned Adam Mackey, a home run hitter in every sense of the word. 10 falls this year. That's best on the Lock Haven team. Also, top 5 in all of Division I.
Yeah, and for Mackey, it's just about him being relentless, looking for that pinfall and trying to score back points, and he's a guy, even if he gives up his legs, he's still trying to score and counter to roll these guys to their backs, not afraid to lat drop, not afraid to body lock, so I'm sure we'll see some of that, but here early on, Rigas in on that sweep single with that left-handed sweep.
Rigas reaching for the right ankle of Mackey with 1:49 to go, first period, just underway. Mackey airborne, trying to create a scramble. Rigas, a finalist at the 2016 PSACs in this house. Scramble continues. Good battle from Mackey to avoid giving up points.
And Mackey, I know we've seen him up a little bit at a couple of different weight classes, 184, 197. So for him to be able to get this opportunity at 174 pounds, I'm sure he feels big and strong being there rather than wrestling some of those boys that get some of that home cooking at 197 pounds.
The scramble still ongoing with 1:08 to go in the first, and now finally Charlie Harris will whistle the action dead. Nice work by Mackey as Rigas was in deep on the single leg on the initial move.
Yeah, Rigas, he adjusted himself, was able to get head outside, got very deep in on that shot, but a good job of scooting around, and Mackey almost able to come out on top as he was able to step over the ankle, but the official called it potentially dangerous, and I think that the ankle was a little bit out of position, and the official didn't like that.
50 seconds to go, first period, no score between Mackey and Rigas.
Right now, really, Mackey, he's continuing to hand fight. He's got to do a little bit of better job protecting his legs. Rigas got to his sweep single pretty easily, and he's a longer, rangier guy. So, even if he does it from a distance, he's got a better chance of locking his hands around the leg.
Because of the height of the respective wrestlers, these are two of the bigger-looking 174-pounders you'll see.
And then Rigas again gets to that sweep single, and he's able to start coming back door. But now Mackey's got him in a bad spot, and that should be a takedown here with that leg. He's got the head and the arm pinched, but they're going to call it an illegal move, but really, the arm was trapped too. I don't see how that necessarily should have been, an illegal move. We see, guys like Jason Nolf do a similar move where it's almost like they mix in some jiu-jitsu in there and expose the back from a neutral position.
So now the secondary official will discuss with Charlie Harris. I'd be surprised if you don't get a challenge one way or another.
Yeah, and I think really they're trying to figure out how the scoring should go. But honestly, the way that the ankles were locked, now I could see if it was above the shoulder how that would be illegal. But with them being locked underneath his armpit, that's a head and arm essentially, and he had a hold of the other arm. As I would see it, it should be 2 and back. But that's for the officials to review, and it seems like they're going to a challenge right now.
Right now, the scoreboard says 2-1 in favor of Mackey, which would indicate that he secured the takedown and then, following the takedown, engaged in an illegal move. 1.9 seconds to go in the first period. What are you doing as a wrestler during this delay?
Well, I think if you're Mackey right now, you got to feel all right with it being a 2-1 score. I mean, you come out of the period of +1, and there's only 2 seconds left. All you have to do is grab the ankle and drive, to hold this guy down and finish the first period, with the lead. So for him, you just got to take it as it is. The worst thing that could really happen is it's a 1-0 score, in favor of Rigas. So for him, keep doing what you're doing. He's been doing a great job these first 3 minutes of getting to his offense. He needs to do a better job, though, of protecting those legs and definitely, working on down blocking and protecting and controlling the wrists.
We'll take a timeout as the replay continues, and just as I say that, no timeout because they're done with the replay. You can predict the end of an elongated replay by telling the listeners you're going to break, and somehow the officials know. I don't know how they know, but they do know. So now Charlie Harris explaining to Keith Ferraro and Scott Moore. Like Keith Ferraro just pointed in our direction.
I don't know if he wants our camera angle or what he wants, but we don't have anything up here for you, Keith. Sorry, pal.
Those are students operating the cameras. They're doing a great job. But we can't be basing scoring on that.
No, Keith, and you don't want my opinion right now because I'm going to tell you it should be 2 takedown, 2 back points. So we'll just leave it as is.
Let's see how it pops on the scoreboard because we're above the action in the radio booth up inside the Thomas Fieldhouse. Everything's happening down below at the scorer's table. So we are a bit at the mercy of the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what they're looking for is to see if the ankles of Mackey touched because when he initially got control, he had the knees pinched, and then if he drapes his ankles over, they're looking for a scissor lock there, essentially. But I think they're just going to leave it as is with the score 2-1.
They will with what will become 3 seconds of riding time as Mackey closes out the first period with the 2-1 lead. So as you said during the delay, that's a good result for Adam Mackey, who had to fight off a couple strong moves from Rigas in the first.
Yeah, Rigas, he was able to get to that leg and lock his hands. It wasn't necessarily the best position that he was in, but with him being a rangier guy, if he can get his hands locked, he's got a good chance of just sucking that in and finishing. But, like you said, Schwabi, a good job by Mackey. And here he's got a tight waist tilt, and he's starting to get a count. And it looks like he's holding 2 back points with that great tight waist tilt off of the lift and return.
So Mackey starting the second on the ride and picking up 2 to go up 4-1 on Rigas. Just underway, opening the evening at 174 pounds, Lockhaven and Clarion. Lockhaven with a win tonight and a win tomorrow to close the dual season at 8-8. Looks like more back points for Mackey as he's working right in the middle of the mat on Rigas.
Yeah, he did a good job of getting 2 back there and getting 2 more off the power half, but did get himself a little high and gave up that reversal, and now Rigas has a bent leg Turk, and he's looking to score back points of his own off the reversal.
So out of all that, 6-3 the Mackey lead, under a minute to go, second period. Riding time in Mackey's favor, but it is dwindling down to 35 seconds now as Rigas works his ride.
And I think right now, if you're Mackey, you just work to your base, work to get your one. You do not want to allow Rigas to get to that big ride on the side and go to a cross-face cradle. A long-rangey guy like that, he's pretty good at those positions typically. And now Mackey able to get to his feet, but a good job by Rigas to catch the leg and trip and return him out of bounds.
A whistle with 25.5 seconds left in the second period. Riding time down to 13 seconds for Adam Mackey, the senior out of Brandywine Heights High School. Bechtelsville, PA native. Searching for an escape late in the second. On the whistle, Mackey unable to get to his feet. Rigas with a side ride.
Right now, Mackey, this is a big 1 point to get, and Rigas, he's looking to get a count here, but Mackey's got him in kind of a precarious position, but Mackey has to be sure to not expose himself, as it looked like a 50-50 position there, Schwabe, that either guy could have scored reversal and maybe some back points.
As it is, the period ends 6-3 in favor of Adam Mackey. Was entertaining, as you would expect. Mackey doesn't have sleepy matches.
No, and even though this isn't, sometimes we see him in those 12-10 matches, it's not quite at that point yet, but still a lot of time for a lot of points to be scored.
Give it another 2 minutes. As Rigas working for back points to open this third period, Mackey able to roll out, but not before. 2 more for Rigas, and it's a 6-5 Mackey lead with 1:41 to go in the third.
And now this is where the escape becomes so important, because we're only 20 seconds away from riding time, essentially. And Mackey, he's got Rigas now in a bad spot as he's able to get that reversal, and he gets him stacked up, and a great job by Mackey getting another pin to the resume this season.
What a reversal from Adam Mackey. That happened in about 5 seconds time. And just to his right, Nate Carr Jr. with a massive fist pump to celebrate 6 points for Lock Haven, courtesy of Adam Mackey.
And that's what we talk about. He's so dangerous, and he creates positions that are very unorthodox. And if you're not comfortable in scramble situations, he can catch it. And that's exactly what happened here. Rigas, he seemed like he was in a good position, was starting to score some back points, but then a nice little reach around, almost like a chin whip situation for Mackey. He's able to get his hips out of the pocket and just scissor his feet and come out on top and get the fall.
A lot of times you see where guys have to work and work for 10, 15, 20 seconds to get in that fall position. That really happened in the blink of an eye for Mackey.
I think he felt the position, and he was able to just, like I said, get his hips out of that pocket, and then he hip heisted it out and really caught Rigas in a bad position where he was on his hip and really didn't have anywhere to go.
At 184, the return of Corey Hazel, number 28 in the first coaches panel rankings. The redshirt freshman, local product from Spring Mills, up against Scott Marmel, 11-11, redshirt senior from Marietta, Georgia, transfer from North Carolina. There are 2 guys very familiar already this season with one another.
Yeah, these guys split so far this year. Hazel had a fall at the Clarion Open against Marmel in the finals, and then in the PSAC championships in the semis, Marmel avenged that loss. So we'll see, a fresh Corey Hazel coming off of a couple weeks of recovery, how he's able to do and avenge his loss against Marmel.
Hazel 23-7 on the year, Open 10-0. Quite a way to announce yourself on the scene.
And he's an exciting guy to watch. He moves, like one of the lighter weight guys, being 184 pounds. And he really, hand fights hard, has a lot of emotion whenever he's out there on the mat, and it really creates some exciting wrestling.
1:51 to go, first period. Nothing to speak of yet between Hazel of Lock Haven, Marmel of Clarion.
And right now, Hazel, he's just digging and pulling really hard, trying to open Marmel up. Marmel's doing a good job, though, of holding position, trying to slow the pace of the match down. And here we see the first shot fired by Hazel as he looked to go high crotch on the left side, but was unable to get to the leg of Marmel. And now Hazel, continues to pull and dig inside. But really, Marmel, like I said, holding that good position, trying to slow down the pace of this match, has done just that so far.
1:07 left, first period. Scoreless between Hazel of Lock Haven, Marmel of Clarion, as Marmel in on a single leg. And Hazel able to stretch out and work his way out of that grip, back to neutral, under a minute to go, first period.
And for Hazel, his hips are just so strong. You can tell it. Guys will get locked around his one leg, and then he's just able to either get an underhook or pull on the elbow and get that foot back and break that lock 9 times out of 10.
6-0 the Lock Haven lead overall. Adam Mackey with a fall, his 11th of the year, coming 5:33 in. Early third period was the time as he took out Dom Rigas of Clarion. That ended a 5-match winning streak for Rigas. Hazel in on a leg and at the edge of the mat. Marmel trying to back his way out. Hazel brings him back in with 9 seconds to finish the move.
And right now, Hazel's got to be careful that he does not give up, a funk situation here as he tries to come out the back, and both these guys just funked around really, and no one able to come away with anything. But it's some great action at the end of the period, and a great job by Hazel to get to the leg.
Just funking around.
He's just funking around, he felt the situation. He got to the knee pull single, but Marmel did a great job of defending it, and neither guy really able to get position. It was just a 50-50 situation.
Hazel will start on top in the second period, scoreless at 184. Second matchup of the night as we began at 174, and from the Lock Haven perspective, with fireworks from Adam Mackey.
Yeah, that was big for this dual meet, because that's a match that you look at, on the lineups, and that's one that could determine, the result of this dual meet, who wins between Clarion and Lock Haven. And even though it is the first duel of the night, it really sets the tempo for the rest of the evening.
And the way it was going supports your statement. That was not a 19-6 just about to be over matchup. That was 6-5 Mackey when Mackey came up with the reversal on the fall.
And now that, really for Hazel, if he can just build off of that, he's riding really hard on the left side of Marmel right now. Not really giving him a lot to work with, but he does need to start to open up and work on his offense here. He's over the top, pulling on the chin really hard, but he's really giving his hips up to Marmel, but he does a good job to readjust and get himself back behind. So he needs to flatten this guy out. Marmel's, in a good base position as he's trying to turn in off the sit out. Hazel is a tough rider, and he's very gritty. He's going to hold on to everything. But he really needs to start to work towards his offense, because it looks like the official's looking for a reason to hit Hazel with stalling at this point.
39 seconds to go in the second. A minute 23 of riding time for Corey Hazel. Still scoreless in this match, and Marmel finally able to work the escape after a minute 29 of riding time. It's 1-0 Marmel leading Hazel of Lock Haven.
Even though, right now Hazel's trailing in this match, he's put himself in a good position for the third period. He has a minute 29 of riding time. It gives him some time to get out and still have the lead. Come late third period if it's a tie match, but he's got to be ready to work in the early portions of this third in order to get that escape.
Two tightly contested matches between these two wrestlers previous to tonight. No surprise, we go to the third period. 1 point separating Marmel and Hazel. Marmel of Clarion with the 1-0 lead to open the third.
And right now, Hazel, like I said, this first 30 seconds is going to be huge for him. If he can get out early and not give up his riding time point, that's gonna really help him in the late stages of this third period.
Forces Marmel out of his shell and out of his game plan in the last minute and a half. As Hazel works to his feet, Marmel working the side ride. He has a boot in on the left side.
And Marmel on the leg right now. I'm surprised there's no call or a count from the official, even though they're both up. But now for Hazel, he really needs to not worry about trying to get the stall call. He needs to worry about getting out, because now there's only 3 seconds left until that riding time dissipates at below a minute.
Stoppage with a minute 34 to go in the third. 6-0 Lock Haven overall, just underway, second matchup. 1-0 Marmel of Clarion leading Hazel of Lock Haven. At this point, to keep the riding time point, Hazel would have to time this perfectly, and the riding time point for now is going to be a non-factor, as immediately once it ducked under a minute, Marmel let Hazel go, and we're tied at 1. Riding time at 57 seconds for Hazel.
And right now for Hazel, he needs to get to his offense sooner rather than later. As we saw in the first period, he got to the leg with about 10 seconds left. It really didn't give him an opportunity to finish his shot. You have to finish, pretty much completely clean if you're going to get to the leg, with little time left. But here, a nice little broomstick attempt by Marmel, and no points yet because Hazel, really whizzing hard, and now they're going to give the 2 up. So for Hazel, he needs to work up and try to find a way to get 1 because he's going to need 1 and 2 or find a way to get a reversal to force overtime at this point.
Marmel of Clarion with a 3-1 lead, 43 seconds to go, third period. Hazel has built his base back up, trying to get the escape, and nearly reversed it. He got the escape. Now 33 seconds to go. It's 3-2 Marmel, riding time and on factor.
If you're Hazel right now, you just got to find a way to dig deep. You have that power and that muscle that you can blow through a guy. You just got to level change and get yourself to a double leg. But right now, Marmel doing a good job of holding position and not allowing Hazel to get to that shot.
Final 10 seconds. Hazel trailing by 1, and Marmel is just stalemating him. It's redshirt senior intelligence from Scott Marmel. He wrestled a very mature match, and he finishes off a 3-2 win over Corey Hazel. And first competitive action for Hazel in about 3 weeks, so he'll get those sea legs back.
Yeah, and really, he's got a chance to redeem himself tomorrow night. Having another dual meet, end things on a positive note for the dual meet season. And really, the way the schedule's set up and the way Scott Moore has this schedule set up, it gives these guys an opportunity to recover from the dual meet season. They have that extra week off, it seems, between now and the EWLs, and that'll give them an opportunity.
Coaches scheduled their programs very differently. For Lock Haven, tomorrow night, their last duel of the year. Clarion still has 4 more duels after tonight as we head to 197. 6-3 the Lock Haven lead. For Lock Haven, it'll be number 30 in the initial coaches panel rankings. Tristan Sponseller, the redshirt sophomore out of East Berlin, PA, 25-6 on the year against Clarion's Dustin Conte, 10-6 redshirt junior out of Jefferson, PA.
Yeah, and right now, an opportunity for Tristan Sponseller to work on his win percentage, as that becomes a big portion of this, not just the coaches panel, but your win percentage as well, and your victories against ranked opponents. If he can keep 2 out of those 3 in that silver standard, he really sets himself up to get a spot qualified for the EWL in come March.
It's been a season for Lock Haven where early on the transfers got all the attention. You talk a little bit about Ronnie Perry and what he brings coming back after a redshirt year. Then the calendar changes. DJ Felman breaks out. And a couple weeks ago at the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, I asked Scott Moore, do you feel Tristan Sponseller is thriving a little bit under the radar? And he said, yeah, a little bit. He's having a great year, but he's been so consistent from day one. He's a guy you don't talk about as much because he's just been so good from the start of the year to now.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, it's consistency, and that's what you get from Tristan Sponseller. You look at him and you go, hey, this is a guy that's going to be one of our catalysts, he's going to be one of our anchors. There's just an expectation with him, and I think he holds that expectation himself very well. He expects himself to win every time he steps on that mat, and his record is definitely indicative of that, 25-6 on the season. So, if he just continues to do what he's doing, he's only in his second year of eligibility used. He's going to continue to grow, and obviously he's a guy that they're thinking he could be in the hunt down the road for a spot on the podium at the NCAA championships.
It really is interesting when you look at the big picture of this program. Next year could be very special, and I know Scott Moore has tried to manage expectations as we have a minute 11 to go in the first period. Sponseller in on a single leg, and a nice job by Conte to roll it through and break out of it. Still no score, but other than 174 where Wood, a redshirt senior, Mackey, a senior, you've got underclassmen up and down this lineup and some really outstanding wrestlers already having established themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't really want to look too far down the road. They're still focused on 2017, but yeah, absolutely. I think, Schwab, you look at what's coming up, what could be 2017, 2018, could be a monumental season for LHU Wrestling.
30 seconds to go in the first period. No score. Third bout of the evening. 6-3 the Lock Haven lead in the overall. Lock Haven looking for their third straight win over Clarion. After Clarion beat Lock Haven 3 straight the previous 3 years. Final 10 seconds of period number 1.
And right now, Sponseller, he's really been controlling the match. He was able to get to one shot and lock his hands around the leg. Good job by Conte to counter that. But really, so far, it's been a pretty evenly matched, duel at 197 pounds.
End of the first period, no score. Looks like Sponseller will be in the down position to open the second period. Sponseller last year, 22-15, wrestling at 184. Of course, Lock Haven had the highly accomplished Phil Sprenkle at 197 last year. And Sponseller has thrived with the jump in weight to 197. As Conte begins his ride, Conte 10-6 on the year. And he really found his place last year, moving from 184 to 197. Really struggled at 184, jumped to 197, went 17-17 the rest of the year, and now putting up a nice record in 2016, 2017, and working the ride 30 seconds into the second period.
Yeah, Conte, he's a guy who has a bigger frame, so I'm sure 197 pounds just fits his style and fits, his build much better. Getting down to 184 pounds, it might have been a bit of a struggle for him, and he might not have felt, as good as he could have, as he does right now at 197 pounds.
Sponseller to his feet and pulls off the escape after 51 seconds of riding time. 1-0 Tristan Sponseller. Midway through the second period, exactly midway through.
And right now for Sponseller, he just needs to open up. Conte right now is just holding position, controlling the center of the mat. Now we see Sponseller finally get to that leg and lock around the leg. Conte, he's hipping down really hard. He's got that ankle underneath the hip, and he's trying to pull it through to circle around. But right now, just a stalemate position. As the official noticed that and recognized it immediately and has these guys going back to their feet.
Charlie Harris puts a halt to the proceedings and the wrestlers back to work with 30 seconds to go in the second period. 6-3 overall Lock Haven. 1-0 Sponseller of Lock Haven over Clarion's Conte. Clock now down to 17 seconds to go in the second.
15. Sponseller, both these guys are just kind of dancing right now. But Sponseller, this third period coming up is going to be big for him. If he can get to a ride, if he can tie up a cross wrist, if he can get a leg in and start to ride hard, he can really wear down Conte, and if he can ride him out just as well. But Sponseller pretty tough on top, but he's got to concentrate here and get that first initial move to get Conte broken down.
End of 2, 1-0. Sponseller leading Conte. Sponseller on top to open the third. Conte able to spring up quickly, but Sponseller settles him back down at the edge of the mat.
Yeah, there we see Sponseller get that cross wrist, and now he's working to drag him in. But Conte, works himself out, gets to the edge of the mat, touches the hardwood, and we're going to go back to the center.
Clarion has to look at this as a pretty significant moment in the overall because you're already down 6-3 after the Mackey fall. Sponseller, a tough wrestler, but certainly doesn't get any easier at heavyweight coming up.
Yeah, if you're Clarion, you want to get as many points as you can in these tight matches. You have to win the toss-ups because really statistically, if you look at it, as a nice job by Conte, hits a switch off of Sponseller's hazard tilt, So yeah, now he has a 2-1 lead. It's going to be imperative that he gets out here in the next 30 seconds so he doesn't give up riding time.
Riding time now up to 36. Sponseller on his feet, put back down. 1:07 to go in the third. Sponseller again to his feet, trying to base out and spins out, and we're tied at 2. And that draws applause from the Lock Haven Thomas Fieldhouse crowd.
Yeah, I mean, he needed that at this point in the match. If he's down, if it's tied and he's giving up riding time at this juncture in the match, it's tough to fend off a guy, especially if he doesn't have a stall warning. He can run a little bit. He has that in his back pocket. So 2-2 right now with 43 seconds to go. It's a one takedown match at this point.
Sponseller with a single leg shot, nearly in trouble. And he fights his way out with 30 seconds to go. Conte almost caught him on the counter move.
Yeah, he had the body lock, trapped the arm, stepped around the ankle, did everything right, but a good job by Sponseller. He was able to get his hips away and didn't give up the big points, because that's really what it was setting up to be. Was a 6-point move for Dustin Conte.
Final 10 seconds of regulation. We look like we are headed for bonus wrestling at 197 pounds, and indeed, that will be the case. 2-2.
And right now, if you're Tristan Sponseller, you gotta think, I gotta get heavy on the head and get this guy moving, because really it's just been a lot of straight-on shots, just almost diving single legs to Conte's right leg. And I'm assuming with him being a righty lead, that's probably where he's strongest. So we gotta do something to move, get him out of position, and create our offense rather than going straight at him.
Overtime underway.
Sponseller right now holding good position, controlling the center of the mat. And there Conte almost throws one by with his underhook, but Sponseller does a good job of squaring up.
And the wrestlers go out. Nearly went careening into the luxury seating to their left. Sponseller in on a single leg, trying to close the move in the match. Conte fights it off initially at the edge of the mat, and they go out. And probably for the best for Sponseller, as Conte nearly spun it out into a game winner of his own.
Yeah, and I mean, really, Sponseller, that was a good move that he did there. I mean, he went to the back leg, even though you're typically not supposed to go to the back leg, but he had been shooting sweep single to that left side or Conte's right leg, and he went to the opposite leg. Now we see him in on a low single, and a great job, low single finish. Tristan Sponseller, overtime winner.
It comes with 4.9 seconds left in the first overtime period, and what a time for your first takedown of the match for Tristan Sponseller. He's a winner. At 197 pounds, he gives Lock Haven a 9-3 lead.
Great determination there by Sponseller. He realized what juncture he was in the match, and he went for it. Got to that low single, kept his elbow on the mat, and drove his feet. Was able to get that easy takedown. He made it look pretty simple, Schwabi.
Ranked 15th in the first coaches panel rankings, ranked 10th now in the Intermat rankings most recently, and the reason for the jump, a second victory over Edinburgh's Billy Miller. And you best believe they will see each other at least one more time, maybe twice more, before this season is complete. Daly, a 9-12 record senior out of Erie, PA.
Yeah, and right now, if you're Thomas Haynes, you look at the scoreboard for your team, and you're looking to go get bonus points right now. Haynes has put together a heck of a campaign so far this season, 28-4, and like you said, Schwabi, ranked 10th in Intermat. He's a guy that they're looking. He's on the fringe, getting to that podium. A nice little broomstick there. He was almost able to get the hip of Daly, and there you see that middleweight finesse of Thomas Haynes come out early. Daly with a nice counter, but he goes limp leg, and he's able to defend as they go out of bounds.
Now, for the fans who aren't familiar with the specific terminology, what's a broomstick?
A broomstick, well, at least this is what we called it whenever
Okay.
I wrestle. It's just basically an arm drag where you go either to the leg, it's like a sweep single to the leg, or you go far hip. And a lot of times you use your leg, you use your foot to trip the guy going forward.
Sounds like a witch of a move. 2:06 to go in the first period. I'm here all night, folks. 9-3, the Lock Haven lead over Clarion. Fourth battle of 10 as we started at 174.
Now, Haynes is doing a good job of controlling the ties. He does a great job of controlling the wrists, and really it helps to open up his offense. Daly, though, a good job of getting to the leg, but Haynes just a little bit stronger. And a little more finesse, able to get his hips back.
Body lock now for Daly. Haynes again able to fight out and counter moves in on the legs, and Daly drops the hips to get away from that. So Daly and Haynes showing some quality defense in the early going. You don't usually associate nifty, agile defense from the heavyweights, but we're seeing it in the first minute 37 of the first period.
Yeah, Daly, he's got those strong hips, and he's able to, defend really well, and he's been able to do that early on against Haynes. There's been a few attacks by each guy, neither able to finish yet, but a lot of great action for 285 pounds.
Down now to a minute 7 to go in the first. We are scoreless. Thomas Haynes, of course, the Ohio State transfer, finds himself in a bad position. Daly in on the shot and with the first two for Clarion.
And it looks like, Haynes was going for his offense, and then he just he kind of bailed out of it last second. Daly did a good job of defending, though, as, Haynes just gave up that takedown. Almost was able to come out of it, had that body whizzer, and almost got his hips away, but Daly did a good job of stepping over and covering that far hip to get the takedown.
And we've seen some slow first period starts from Thomas Haynes, and then he gets to ride on top, and he just demoralizes guys from on top.
Well, and I'm sure Coach Ferraro is well aware of that. So this first period, with it being a 2-1 score right now, really plays into the advantage of Daly. The less time he can spend under Thomas Haynes, the better opportunity he has to win. Because, like we said in many other broadcasts, Thomas Haynes is like watching a 165-pounder, the way he moves and the way he can work on top. So I'm sure they're going to try to keep Daly out from under him. And if they have the lead at that point, it's really a no-brainer to go neutral if it's Daly's choice.
Haynes was able to come up with the escape. He's down 2-1, final 5 seconds of the first period. Lock Haven leading 9-3 overall. First period is complete. As physically cut as he is and as nimble as he is, Lock Haven University head football coach David Tainer in attendance. And Coach Tainer, in the back of his mind, has to be thinking, okay, this guy wrestles for 2.5 more years, and then let's see if we can get him out on the gridiron.
See if we can get him wearing number 90 or something like that coming off the edge, right?
Ride out some quarterbacks. As Haynes does start on top in the second, and immediately looking for back points. Daly able to roll out again.
An interesting decision here by Coach Ferrari. He had the decision, and they chose to go bottom rather than deferring. For Daly, it's going to be, vital for him to get out on bottom. But Haynes right now riding tough on top, had that suck back, and almost chinned Daly to his back. But a good job by Daly driving his feet and able to belly out.
Haynes is so patient when he's on top. Looking for his opening. Still working the ride. Up to 32 seconds of riding time with a minute 10 to go in the second. 2-1 the Daly lead. Haynes has won 5 matches in a row. Daly works to his feet. Haynes stays on the right leg. Daly's not going anywhere yet.
And right now, Daly, he's just stuffing the head, hoping for a stall call. But for Haynes, he's got both hands above the hips, just kind of sucking the hips back, and the right call there by the official to go stalemate.
Lock Haven with the 6-point spread. The difference, the opening pin for Adam Mackey at 174. On the restart, Daly to his feet. Wasn't quite able to come up with the escape as Haynes was able to get a leg back, and now Daly with the escape. So impressive what we're seeing from Evan Daly thus far. He's up 3-1 with 38 seconds to go in the second.
And if you're Haynes, you gotta get a takedown here. At this point, 30 seconds to go. There he gets to the double leg, and he's got it wrapped around the body. He's got to be able to finish this here, but he's got to be careful. Daly's got some pretty good hips. He can throw. So, and there we go. We see Haynes get that body lock, inside trip, gets the fall in typical Thomas Haynes fashion. Able to find that big move at some point in the match and come up with some big points for LHU.
Thomas Haynes at the 4:42 mark with the fall, and it's 15-3 Lock Haven.
And I'm sure if you're Haynes, you're looking at that and you're like, man, this wasn't my best performance. But, he dug deep late in the second period, found a way to score some big points. And he used his middleweight moves as a big man and was able to overcome that deficit. Yeah, and that's what he did. It wasn't the best performance. Thursday night matches, they really kind of throw your routine off. You're typically wrestling on Saturday, Sunday, and then bam, all of a sudden you got a Thursday night dual meet you got to get ready for. Sometimes that throws you off, and that might have been what happened tonight with Thomas Haynes. But he found a way, dug deep, and he got himself in a good position to score points, and he capitalized whenever he needed to.
Now you just sound like you play in the NFL.
That's just a happy coincidence, the Thursday night there, Schwabi.
Thursday night, it hurts my quality. At 1:25, as Lock Haven leads 15-3, our last matchup before the halftime break for Lock Haven, Jake Field, redshirt junior, 14-12 against Clarion's Jake Gramacki, 14-6 out of Erie, transfer from Pitt. Gramacki's had a nice year in his first season in the Clarion program. He's already seen Jake Field this year, defeated him by major decision at the PSACs back on December the 10th.
Yeah, for Gramacki, he was a guy that had big expectations, going into that Pitt program, like you said, Schwabi. Had Dom Fories there that was battling for the exact same spot at 125, but he's been able to find himself a nice home here at Clarion. He's put together a good season. He's got himself, in those coaches' rankings here, coming in at number 30. But this is an opportunity for Jake Field, to put his mark, get himself a seed at the EWL Championships come March, and really, give himself an opportunity to try to find a way into that national pool.
We've talked a lot during these broadcasts about Jake Field taking what he does in the practice room onto the mat. This is the kind of opponent where you either do that or you're in a lot of difficulty.
Yeah, and for a guy like Field, he's got that ability. He's just got to pull the trigger. Gramacki, he's a tough guy and he holds great position. But for Field, he's capable. It's just a matter of him putting it together for 7 minutes here tonight.
1:38 left, first period. No score between Field of Lock Haven and Gramacki of Clarion. Lock Haven trying to move to 4-2. This is the closing of their EWL schedule this year. If Lock Haven secures that fourth win, it would be the first time they've picked up at least 4 wins in EWL action, as Gramacki in on a single leg. It'd be the first time for Lock Haven, going all the way back to, let's see, the 2001-2002 season, as the Wrestlers go out on the near side. A nice job by Field to get away from that single leg with 1:04 to go in the first.
Yeah, Gramacki, he was in deep. He was looking to cut across and hit a low double to finish. But Field, he controlled the wrist and he got his leg back. And then he was able to even counter, almost came up with a single leg of his own on the edge of the mat. So, a good exchange by both these 125-pounders. And Field, he's right in there battling. And he's countering and using his own exchanges to create some offense.
Gramacki, you mentioned, big-time recruit, 124-21, his high school record at Cathedral Prep up in Erie. Spent 2 years in the Pitt program, one of those a redshirt year. We have a stoppage with 35.1 to go in the first. Looks like it may be a blood issue, so we'll take a timeout. 15-3 Lock.
Optimize your health and performance. 8 North Grove Street, Lock Haven.
Bear Country 99.9.
Back to action, 27 seconds to go in the first period. No score between 125-pounders Jake Field of Lock Haven and Jake Mackey of Clarion. 15-3 Lock Haven overall. We started the night at 174 pounds.
And right now, like we said in the beginning of this match, it's a matter of Field continuing to work in there. He gives up the takedown late. Mackey just dropped level and went double leg. But for Field, that's where that grit and that toughness has to come in, where we have to be able to hold position, in those last few seconds.
And I think from the coaching staff's perspective, and I don't want to speak for them specifically, but when you get a kid to the point where he's a redshirt junior, you want him to be able to process that and be able to show that on his own, because if you're harping on that aspect, there are other technical aspects of your game that aren't getting that attention because it's, hey, you need to stay locked in right to the final second of each period.
Yeah, and I think, not to discredit Field or anything, but Mackey, he was just ready for that. He knew, he came out with a game plan off that break. He's like, I'm going to get to this leg and I'm going to try to score it here late in the period, where really when you get a takedown late in the period, it's almost as good as 2 takedowns because there's no opportunity for an escape. It gives you that extra room. So whenever you go late into the match, if you have that 2-point lead and you give up a takedown, it's tied, rather than that 1-point lead if it's a 3-2 match, say, where you're actually losing if you give up that takedown.
Do you look at that as something every guy is looking for in every situation, or something that's game plan specific?
Well, I mean, off the break, I think he kind of looks at it short term. At least I would, personally look at it short term. If I can get a takedown here and not have to worry about riding this guy too long, because that wears you out just as much as being ridden. That's a big portion of it as well.
Even though it's a Thursday night.
Even though it's a Thursday night, and you might be a little bit off your game, Schwabi. You still got to be able to build your lead when you can.
Start of the second period as Jake Field, you can see the bandage on the bridge of the nose. They had to attend to some blood between periods. He opens the second on top. The wrestlers go out with 1:45 to go in the second period. 2-0 the Mackey lead at 1:25 for Clarion. 15-3 Lock Haven in the overall. And Mackey able to score the quick escape off the restart, so he now has a 3-0 edge.
Yeah, and for Mackey too, he was able to somehow, get a stall call against Field. It seemed like he was running away from Field, and Field was just trying to keep his hips in tight to him to lift and return, which he did on the edge of the mat, but the official gave a stall call against Field, and so that also, happened in that short exchange as well, as we broke and came back to the center of the mat.
Likelihood that initial stall call against Field, it shouldn't play a significant role when you're down 3-0. There's no reason to be lazing around.
No. You got to open up and get to your offense. And really, right now for Field, he just has to pull the trigger. Get to some sort of offense. He's really just calling an elbow right now and not looking to shoot. His feet are really square, as you can see, and it's really tough to score, or penetrate even whenever your stance is square.
We saw Mackey actually extend his arms as if to say, what am I supposed to do if this guy's not going to shoot at me?
Yeah, and I mean, for Field, he's just got to break ties and try to get to his offense, control an elbow, control a wrist, something, but calling an elbow against a guy of Mackey's caliber isn't going to get it done.
How often do you see the wrestler in the lead look frustrated?
Well, it depends on who's the guy in the lead. If it's a guy who likes to score points and is looking to extend his lead or feels as though he can do that, that's the guy that's obviously going to be looking to score more points. And with the situation that his team's in right now, down 15-3, he's trying to score as many points as possible.
And he just came up with another 2-point takedown the last 5 seconds of a period. Closes out the second with a 5-0 lead. And now the agenda for Jake Field, make sure you don't give up bonus points.
Yeah, and really I think that, it was Mackey's pressure that forced that shot by Field. He kept forcing Field to back up, and he already has a stall warning against him. So out of desperation, kind of head down, reaching for that leg, and then Gromacki was able to get that simple go behind and score the 2 points late.
Gromacki starts the third period on top with a 5-0 edge. Lock Haven, though, with a 15-3 lead, falls from Adam Mackey at 174 and Thomas Haynes at heavyweight. Field trying to get on the board, works to his knees.
Right now, Gromacki just holding strong, obviously looking for the turn, as he's going to have this riding time wrapped up in about 30 seconds if he continues to ride this way. But for Gromacki, too, I'm sure Coach Ferraro's like, you gotta cut him at some point and try to get this other takedown or 2 takedowns in order to extend your lead. Because Field right now, he's controlling that position and not really giving Gromacki anything to open up with.
Down to 1:06 to go in the third off the stoppage. 38 seconds now and counting of riding time for Gromacki. And you're this far in on the riding time, you have to work it to a minute and then you cut him loose.
Yeah, well, and he's going to need 2 takedowns at that point, too. If he gives up the one, he's going to need a takedown and then escape and another takedown. So it might be just that he's going to look to turn at this point, as he does have the leg in. He's got the short boot in. He's tried to go leg check a couple times or try to go for a bow and arrow. Here he's got it, and he's trying to step over that far hip. He's got that too. So Field, he's got to really base down, and he's got to make sure he doesn't give up stalling either. And that bow and arrow is pretty tight. So Field's doing a good job of fighting his right hip down. But Gromacki's got to be smart and make sure he keeps it in criteria if he's going to get these back points, because it's very easy for the official to say you're going against the joint, and there we see it, is he went against the back.
16 seconds to go in the third. 5-0 the Gromacki lead with 1:27 of riding time. Field trying to keep this to a regular decision defeat.
15.
And Field actually flattened himself out immediately on the restart. So showing some match awareness. He understands the situation. Even if he gives up another stall, it's not going to be a major decision. And the clock will expire, and Field will concede the riding time point and fall 6-0 to Jake Gromacki of Clarion. So Clarion, as we reach halftime, closes within 15-6 of Lock Haven, but the falls from Mackey and Haynes, the difference so far.
Yeah, they really, changed the dynamic of this dual meet going into the last 5 weight classes. If it's a 9-6 match, it's different. It's a completely different ball game. But you could technically, you could lose, 6 matches here and come away, with a tie. You'd lose on criteria, of course.
Come back, we'll recap how we got to this score. It's 15-6 Lock Haven at the half. You're listening to Lock Haven Wrestling on the Bear Country Sports Network.
Food and fun with friends and family when you go to Haywood's on the Green and Mill Hall. With a large bar and their big screen TVs, Haywood's is where you go to catch the game with your buddies. Their spacious dining room and kids menu make them a family favorite too. Ask Haywood's about their special banquet menu.
How do you look at the different scheduling techniques for each program?
Well, I mean, for Clarion, it's definitely a more traditional schedule setup. Typically, you have 2 weeks in separation between your last dual meet in your conference championships. So, you have that hard week of training in the first week, and then you taper off a lot in that last week, almost to next to nothing in terms of your workout on the Thursday and Friday prior to. For Lock Haven, a little bit of a different angle that they're taking, and with injuries and things like that, and the grueling season that a Division I wrestling season is, it's not a bad thing, having essentially 4 weeks off. I know they have that Matttown tournament coming up here on Sunday on the 5th, but that's really going to be it, and it might not even be all the starters competing in that. So, you give your guys a chance to recover maybe for a week, get your body feeling good, train really hard for 2 weeks, and then do that taper off. So really it's going to be, interesting to see what the LHU wrestlers look like coming off of that 4-week span without that true competition of someone else other than your teammates in the room, and see how they perform at Bloomsburg for the EWL Championships in March.
At 133 for Lock Haven, it is DJ Felman of Warren, PA, the redshirt freshman, 25-8 on the year against a local product, Coolie, Williamsport native, 11-14 on the season. Coolie, a sophomore.
And I know that, for both these guys, Felman, this is, really essentially his home opener, and Coolie, this is a homecoming. So both these guys, I'm sure, excited, amped up to be here at this duel tonight. Felman, I know Coach Moore, even earlier in the season, he was excited about what this kid brings to the table, and his record definitely indicative of what he's capable of. 25-8, as a redshirt freshman, a high ceiling for this guy in DJ Felman.
Coaching staff has made a couple really terrific decisions in moving guys and doing it in a healthy way and an effective way. Adam Mackey down to 174. We saw his prowess tonight, and DJ Felman coming down from 141. And when you're behind Ronnie Perry, you're just not going to get on the mat if you stay at 141. So he comes down to 133, and he's been a revelation. And you made a good point. Hey, this is my first time getting to see him wrestle, and so perhaps for you, a limited opportunity as well.
Yeah, I mean, really, I haven't got to see him in competition, but his record kind of speaks volumes for what he's done so far this year. Anytime you can put together a 25-win season, whether it's Division I, II, or III, you're putting together a solid year, and you're keeping yourself on track for being a force, or having that opportunity come March in the EWL Championships. You'd like to think a guy with that kind of a record is going to get a seed. It has been limited for him at 133. It took a while for him to get his weight down to that point after starting at 141. But I know Coach Moore is really impressed with what he's been able to do so far with this small sample size at 133 pounds.
Certainly the possibility exists that he could be the 2 or 3 seed going into EWLs. I would expect Corbin Myers up at Edinburgh to be the number 1 seed, and Myers and Felman wrestled last Friday, and Myers with the victory. But outside of that, I don't know who else you'd put at that 2 spot in the EWL. No one comes right to mind for me, as nothing doing in this first period. But Coolie in on a single leg deep with 35 seconds to go in it.
Yeah, and for Coolie right now, he's in a good spot. He's got that leg locked, and Felman, he's doing a good job of squaring his hips up, and he's able to keep himself out of harm's way and defend off that shot by Coolie.
Both of these guys with nice stories. Felman, LHU Classic champion back on December 29th. That was his debut at 133. And what a debut it was. Continued it. Getting in on a single leg here on Coolie, and he picks up the 2 points with 18 seconds to go in the first. He has a 2-0 lead. Defeated number 17 at the time in the country, Mark Ray of Cornell, 4-0 back on January 22nd. And for that effort, named PSAC Wrestler of the Week and also EWL Freshman of the Week. And he finishes the first period with a 2-0 lead over Rashawn Coolie, a young man struggled last year as a freshman, 6-20, but has improved immensely. Up to 11-14 this year, and as you said, a guy wrestling just a half an hour from his hometown of Williamsport.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, back with Felman and what he's done, he's got some quality wins under his belt too, which is huge down the stretch. At this point in the season, voters are looking for, the guys that have beaten other good guys. They want to see those guys in St. Louis at the end of March because they're the ones that are going to put the excitement out there for the fans. They're the ones that are capable of winning those big-time matches. So, for Felman, he's just got to continue to do what he's been doing. And at the end of this first period, he was able to get that big takedown and ride out Coolie on the edge of the mat and get that 2-0 lead. So for him, he's in a good spot right now. Picked bottom to start the second, and he's looking to get out and extend his lead at this point.
Riding time now 15 for Coolie with 1:24 to go in the second. 2-0 the Felman lead. More of a steady ride from Coolie than looking for anything point scoring wise as Felman to his feet and spins out for the escape, and he goes up 3-0.
And I really like Felman's style too. It's a lot of body fakes, forces the guy to react. He doesn't just anticipate and expect to just telegraph his shots and get to the leg. He creates that offense. He creates a reaction, and it was what worked for him at the end of the first period. So we'll see if he can continue that success here throughout the rest of this match.
More running back or pass rushing DN to you with the moves?
Well, at 133 pounds, I'm going to say neither. But
punt
really,
returner.
yeah, punt returner, yeah, more of a Darren Sproles type guy. But yeah, for Felman, he's a guy that he creates his offense, but he also dictates the pace. He's gonna force you to wrestle his style. Right there, a great fake, was able to get Coolie to go to his knees, pulls hard on the head, but he's not in harm's way whatsoever with those types of body fakes and ties.
And the reason a kid like this ends up in the lineup is you're in the room as coaches every day, and he's doing this in the wrestling room and embodying the attitude that they want in the program, and the coaches start saying, we need to find a place for this kid.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you're at 141 pounds and, you're even having that moderate success, and a great job. A nice little arm drag, but he ran out of time as he almost blew through that double leg. But a guy like Felman, he wanted to be in the lineup, so he found a way to get there. He took the time. He did his weight the right way. And, you look at a guy that would drop down a weight in the middle of the season, might be, tuckered out at this point going into the third period, but he doesn't look like it. He's got that 3-0 lead. He's riding tough on top. He's got Coolie flattened out right now, and he's looking to build on this lead. He's got to be thinking major decision right now as he's got this boot in. If he can get a 4 count, get those back points and ride it out, that's a major right there. So I love what I'm seeing from this kid. He's digging in deep, he's working really hard, and you got to think that he can be a threat come EWL time. If Corbin Myers is the guy that's standing in his way, he's got to be gunning for him.
1:27 to go in the third. The riding time now in favor of Felman. 10 seconds of it. He has a 3-0 lead. Overall, 15-6 Lock Haven. We're just underway in the second half of this EWL matchup. And we're 6 minutes into this 133-pound match as Coolie called for stalling. And Felman has been entertaining and impressive enough that we haven't brought up what's to come at 141, but boy, that is going to be a blast.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for that one too, and I'm sure Zakro. He's chomping at the bit, wants to avenge one of his only 2 losses on the season. But right here we see Felman does a good job, drops down, kind of floats Coolie up to his base, and drives across with a little double leg to keep that ride alive. He's almost got it to a minute of riding time now, and really with Coolie just flattened out and not trying to give up any sort of back points, you got to think a second stall call has got to be coming pretty soon.
Riding time is now over a minute for DJ Felman of Warren High School.
And that cradle's locked pretty tight. Good job by Coolie, though, to extend his body and break the lock. But Felman really riding tough and digging deep. He's going to get that point for the stall call, but in the riding time, but an impressive performance and just a solid all-around performance by Felman to pick up that 5-0 victory, Schwabi.
Very, very similar matches for different teams at 125 and 133. Businesslike from Mackey of Clarion, and immediately following, businesslike from Felman of Lock Haven as he defeats Coolie 5-0. Lock Haven now overall with an 18-6 lead. And this is Ronnie Perry's first match back after missing a month due to a concussion. So if you're Scott Moore, you couldn't ask for anything more than to be working with a cushion in case Perry needs tonight to shake off a little rust.
Yeah, and I mean with Perry too, and concussions, they're never something to take lightly. An injury to the head in any fashion, whether it be a neck injury or a concussion, you have to take absolute caution with it. You don't want to rush a guy back and endanger him even more. For Perry, obviously a tough test in front of him in Zockerl, but it's a guy that he's already beaten this year. And for him, concussion protocol may have been in place, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't able to train really hard in that time of recovery.
Zockerl 17-2 on the year. Perry at 21-5. Perry ranked 21st in the first coaches panel rankings. And immediately Zockerl active, went in on a shot. Perry able to back out of it 30 seconds in.
Yeah, Zockerl doing a good job of controlling the center of the mat early on. But Perry and him, they have two different styles, I would say. Zockerl very boxy, able to keeps himself very low, and controls ties a lot. Perry, though, he's great with his offense. He can create a lot of it, a lot of counter wrestling, as we saw there. He moved the head and started to circle towards the right hip of Zockerl. But for both these guys, entertaining to watch. I'd say Zockerl a little more business-like than Perry. Perry's got a little more flash to him, but both these guys know how to win matches and win matches in big situations.
Minute 45 to go in a scoreless first period. 18-6 Lock Haven overall. Down to the final 4 bouts of the night. Zockerl coming off an impressive 3-1 win over Javier Gasca, Michigan State, and another shot from Zockerl broken away from by Perry as Zockerl in on the single leg, and Perry shook loose.
Yeah, good job by Perry. Squared his hips up, used that defense that he has, and was able to break the lock away from Zockerl. And right now, we haven't really seen Perry get to his offense too much. Here he digs an underhook and starts to circle to it, but Zockerl really didn't overcommit to that shot. He felt the counter coming from Perry, and this is just two seasoned wrestlers that are very smart and know how to control a match, and they're really just jockeying for position early on at this point.
The much anticipated matchup at the PSAC Championships didn't materialize as Zockerl did not wrestle at PSAC, so Perry cruised to the title. Inside his home gym, Perry was just warned for stalling in the final 35 seconds of the first, still scoreless.
Yeah, and for Perry as well, the stall call that he gave up, it really is just because of the shot number. It was 3-0 in terms of shot total, and Zockerl can continue to push the offense. There really wasn't a lot from Perry, so at this point in the match, he's got to try to control that center the way Zockerl has been doing early on.
Still more hand fighting, waiting for Ronnie Perry to show his offense in this first period.
Perry, even though he hasn't gotten any shots off right now, he's very patient and he's smart about it. He knows what Zockerl's capable of, and if you get stuck underneath him, it's very difficult to get your head up and get your hands locked and get to a scoring position. So you can't really fault him. If the opening isn't there, you don't want to just take a shot just to shoot.
First period is history. Still no score at 141 pounds. Zockerl, 28-3 last year.
Yeah, he put together a solid campaign. He really busted out onto the freestyle scene even a couple years ago. Went to the World Juniors. So for an acquisition like Zockerl, for Clarion, it was a huge acquisition. Really, he's the face of their program at this point in time. And he's a guy that they're thinking he's going to be in the hunt for an All-American bid this year.
Quick escape from Perry to open the second. He's up 1-0. It was just 4 seconds of riding time for Zockerl, and If you're wondering how Zaccarel ended up at Clarion, well, we mentioned in the open the connection between Keith Ferraro and Brookville. Ferraro was an assistant coach at Brookville for 6 years, and Brock Zaccarel and his brother Brody, who's in the program as well, not competing this year, both products of Brookville.
Yeah, that was a big time program, and those guys were at the heart of it. So Brock, it might have been just that comfort, being close to home, having a coach that he's very familiar with and very comfortable in working with, to continue to develop that a no-brainer for him to be a Golden Eagle.
Not dissimilar from the best stretch of Central Mountain Wrestling when they had the Alton brothers dominating.
Yeah, they wanted to stay local, went Penn State, and you see a lot of Lock Haven guys that were once Central Mountain products too across the years, or even Bald Eagle, Nittany, Bald Eagle area guys as well.
Zaccarel in on a shot with 38 seconds to go in the second period. Perry fighting it off for now. Zaccarel able to come around though and finish the 2. Perry though still on his feet, and a quick escape, and we're tied at 2. So Perry wouldn't let Zaccarel enter into the ride there.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it was a tough position, and I'm actually surprised the official let it go as long as he did, because that was a very shallow whizzer that Perry had, but Zaccarel, wasn't able to get that far hip and step over the far ankle. So, 2-2 match right here in this ride, come third period is going to be huge for Perry, as he's going to need to be able to ride for at least a minute 10 to at least force overtime if he isn't able to get a takedown come the third period.
Perry will be on top to start the third period. 18-6 Lock Haven overall. The night began at 174 pounds. Lock Haven with 2 falls in this showdown with Clarion. And Zaccarel with an immediate escape, so Perry knows what he has to do. 3-2 the Zaccarel lead. The riding time a complete non-entity.
Yeah, at this point, even if you're, at this point in the match, Perry cannot relax and allow Zaccarel to control the center of the mat, because he does have that stall warning against him. And if he gives up another one, as early as it may be in the third period, it really changes the face of this match. And then we're just getting a takedown to tie as Zaccarel gets to a double. It fended off nicely by Perry. He's got that shin whizzer really tight. We're probably going to see stalemate here in a couple seconds, as neither guy's really advancing position at all.
Charlie Harris letting them wrestle, and now finally. Again, if you want something to happen, just let me say the opposite's happening, and we'll get there. Stalemate with 1:09 to go in the third. 3-2 Zaccarel of Clarion leading Perry of Lock Haven. First action in a month for Ronnie Perry.
1 minute remaining.
Now we're starting to see Perry open up a little bit more. His movement, his body fakes. He's trying to open Zaccarel up, but Zaccarel, like we said earlier in this match, very boxy, more business-like. He'll hold his position for long periods of time, and he knows he's got that 1-point lead. So that's really what he's going to try to do, is just hold the center of the mat and hold position and not allow Perry to get to the leg.
Perry shot faking and juking. Zaccarel shows a shot. Perry tries to reshoot off of it. Can't get there with 24 seconds to go.
And a lot of attempts here by Perry late in this match, and he just continues to battle and move forward. But again, Zaccarel circles back to the center of the mat and controls that area. And now he's probably going to get hit with stalling late. And it looks like we going to get a stoppage with 5 seconds left for the guys interlocking fingers.
Zaccarel with the 3-2 lead, and he will close this out. Good battle between two of the top guys in the country at 141, and it's Brock Zaccarel improving to 18-2 with a 3-2 decision over Ronnie Perry. It's 18-9 Lock Haven though in the overall.
And Zaccarel, just like we said earlier, business-like. He held position, got the takedown when he needed to, controlled the match, got out in third, held his position, and really, it was two guys that knew each other and were very familiar with one another, who, we're just trying to get that one takedown, and it was Zachrel this time that was able to come away with it.
We move to the final 3 matches of the night. At 149 pounds for Waukegan, Kyle Shup, who in his own right has quietly put together an impressive campaign. The redshirt freshman out of Boiling Springs, 26-13 on the year. He faces Jake Keller of Clarion, 2-7 this season. Redshirt senior from Kerwinsville, PA.
And for Shup, he's got to be thinking, let's go out and score points early and often. Let's get on this guy and get to our takedown early. Keller, he's a guy who also transferred from Pitt, so he's been around for a while. But for Shup, he's got to be looking. I'm looking to build on my seed for EWLs and work towards myself getting a spot in the national qualifier bid at the EWL championships.
Shup, the 149-pound champion at the Franklin and Marshall Open back on January 7th. He and Sponseller won titles that day. Wrestlers go out on the far side, 30 seconds in. Keller didn't wrestle for 2 months, from November 6th through January the 8th, 0-2 against EWL opponents. So as you said, the mentality for Shup has to be point scoring as a scramble on in the first minute.
And a big scramble is Keller got to the leg pretty easily, but Shup, he rolled through, grabbed the ankle, and was able to create a stalemate. It didn't look like he was really trying to advance his position, though, as each guy had each other's ankle.
Start to look at the records for Waukegan individually. And Felman at 133, Perry at 141, Hazel at 184, Sponseller 197, Haynes at 285. All guys, as of today, if you asked Scott Moore, probably you feel pretty good about those guys being able to qualify for nationals.
Yeah, the win percentages are there or on the cusp. But really what it comes down to for a lot of these guys is did they do enough throughout the season? Does their body of work state that they've done enough to earn a spot for their league, in that EWL championship? As we know, you can have all the wins in the world, but if you haven't really beaten anyone or don't have a marquee win, it doesn't really help your cause, and only qualifies one out of those 3 criteria that the polls are looking for.
For Kyle Shup, the path to nationals, very likely having to find a way to knock off a wrestler who he has struggled a little bit against in his first 2 introductions, and a lot of guys do when you talk about Patricio Lugo out at Edinburgh.
Yeah, Lugo, he's a tough customer. He came so close to being an All-American last year for Edinburgh, but that is a guy that Shup's going to have to find a way to beat to really get over the hump at 149 pounds. And really, right now, Shup, he circled Keller all the way around, and we did not see a stall call, which I was very surprised at, because Keller just backed himself around half the circle, and we didn't see the fist go up at all. So an interesting no call there by the official.
Another scramble with 18 seconds to go in a scoreless first period.
And right now, if you're Shup, you got to be smart here and not give up anything. And really, this is a position where Keller put himself in. He's back hooking the head. I was worried they were going to call potentially dangerous. But, really the position was created by Keller as he tried to keep that hook with his foot on the back of Shup's head.
2 wrestlers stare at one another as we reach the end of the first period. Scoreless. 18-9 Waukegan overall. A Shup win would put Waukegan at the precipice of clinching the overall victory.
And for Shup right now, he took neutral. Keller is known for being pretty good on top, and a nice little go behind by Shup right off the whistle. And now Shup, I'm sure he's going to look to go to work on top. He likes that little reinforced bar tilt that he does. So it's going to be off this first move off the whistle, and if he can get to that cross wrist and start to go to work.
So Shup right off the bat in the second period. Takes a 2-0 lead over Clarion's Keller.
Doing a good job of riding tough on top here. Keller tried to hip over the top. But Shup doing a good job riding tough here. Schwabe's almost got that tilt again, and there it is. There it is. We see it so many times. When he gets it, it's tight. And there he's going to get a count, and he gets 4 back off of it.
And all of a sudden, it is 6-0 for Kyle Shup with 1:15 to go in the second period.
He's going for it again. I mean, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, right? For more points.
4 more back points for Kyle Shup, and he is up 10-0. All of this damage done in the first minute of the second period.
And this is where Shup is dangerous, and this is where he can beat some good guys. If he can get on top and get them broken down, and he gets to that tilt, he can blow the doors wide open on a match, as we've seen here. He's 10 points in a minute, and he's threatening to score again before this period expires.
And if he can win with bonus points, that would clinch the Lock Haven win.
He's really trying to sag his hips and keep that in bounds. He had the cross wrist, but Keller basically sprinting out of bounds. Didn't want to give that one up again.
22.2 to go in the second period. 10-0. The Shup lead. Obviously, the result matters, but just a feel in the building that starting this at 174 tonight really did Lock Haven a favor.
Absolutely. I think, the way that Mackey was able to respond, he was up early, but he gave up some points, some back points that he really shouldn't have, but he did it to create his own offense, and that's what we see from Mackey all the time, is he puts himself in some awkward positions, and he creates these awkward positions that he feels comfortable in that maybe not every guy out there does.
End of the second, 10-0, the Shup lead for Lock Haven.
Now Keller takes top, and he's a good leg rider, so you have to be careful of that if you're Shup, and that's why they obviously went neutral to start the second period, because they did not want to give up anything to this leg rider. But a good job by Shup, held good position, got that reversal.
Now 12-0 for Shup, and now the thought process for Shup has to be tech fall, doesn't it?
I mean, one turn does it. Why not? Even if it's a 2 count in your ride, that's good enough for the tech. I mean, if you're Shup, you just go to the wheelhouse. If it's worked, why not do it again?
He has twice earned 4 back points with the tilt. And he's going for it again, and this time not on the first try, but the second try will get the work done. Yes. And you hear an awe from the crowd. Not quite 4 back points, but the 2 you were asking for, and it's 14-0.
Yeah, he got the 3 count, but the 4th one, Keller was able to belly out and not give up. So, good job by Keller to try to keep this one intact and only give up a major, but even a major will be enough for LHU tonight. 35 seconds to go, though, and the riding time well locked, I guess. It's in there. It's in the bag.
So Keller would need an escape, but the stall call will negate any possible future circumstances. It's a 15-0 win plus the riding time, so 16-0. A tech fall for Kyle Shup, and Lock Haven for the 3rd straight year will defeat Clarion. It is now 23-9 LHU.
Yeah, great performance by Shup, and he's really finding his stride now at Swabi. He's getting big wins. He's getting league wins. He's pulling himself up into the EWL rankings. And like you said, Luga is going to be the guy. The EWL championships he's got to knock off. But if he can find a way to get on top of Lugo and not have to keep that match on his feet, where Lugo is very talented, he's got a chance. I mean, with that cross wrist tilt that he does, it is his bread and butter. But he's a tough guy to beat whenever he's able to get to that cross wrist.
You know who he might be able to talk to is have a little chat with Ronnie Perry about knocking off highly regarded, top-ranked Edinburgh guys at EWLs.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could see a little repeat performance like we did from Perry a couple of years ago against Shup. But it's still early in Shup's career. He's got plenty of opportunity to progress and find a way to beat some of these bigger guys.
Our first look at Jonathan Ross at 157, and he comes up with the speedy 2-point takedown against Clarion's Taylor Cahill, redshirt freshman from Berlin, PA, transfer from Bloomsburg. Ross, 6'8", true freshman out of Dillsburg. He has taken over as the primary 157-pounder for the Bald Eagles.
He had a great sweep single right off the bat by Ross. He was able to get to the leg, finish this quick, and riding real tough here as he gives up the escape. But we'll see if he goes back to that offense again. But he's got a great build to him. He's looks pretty strong out there, sporting the knee brace, but he's not afraid to hand fight and get in the mix of things with Cahill.
So after the Cahill escape, 1:55 to go in the first period. 2-1 the Ross lead for Lock Haven. Lock Haven has already clinched the overall with a 23-9 advantage. Final 2 bouts of the evening.
And for Ross right now, you don't want to slow down. You want to keep pulling on this guy's head and creating that offense. He's doing a good job of controlling the wrists, but I like seeing him bounce around and keep himself moving, keep himself active.
Jonathan Ross, his 2 dual meet wins this season coming against Tennessee, Chattanooga, and Cleveland State. That win against UTC ended up being a big win as Lock Haven won that duel by 1 point.
Yeah, and Ross is, he's a guy, he doesn't have a lot of matches here so far this year, but, he's a guy that Coach Moore really likes and thinks he can develop into a solid guy in the heart of this lineup. So here is an opportunity again for him to get a win and then really get some seed points coming into the EWLs come March.
Final 41 seconds of the first period. 2-1 the Ross lead for Lock Haven over Cahill. Ross in a shot and the scramble, and Cahill was able to reverse it and come up with the 2, and he takes a 3-2 lead. Cahill, in his first year in the Clarion program, redshirted last year at Bloomsburg after finishing 3rd at PIAAs as a high school senior.
Yeah, and that was a great job by Cahill. He got to the leg and he just kept driving, so he did not. He kept working until he was able to finish, and he did a great job to get that takedown.
Final 2 seconds, and Cahill doing nice work to also prevent the Ross escape late in the period.
And if you're Ross right now, you just have to settle in. The first period you're just down 1, so look to score the next point to start the second, and look to build off your lead.
(3-2) the Cahill lead over Jonathan Ross. After 1 period, Ross, statistically proven, has the best first name on the Lock Haven roster.
Seemed like a biased poll if you ask me, Schwabi.
I tell you, it was a unanimous vote. 1-0.
1-0.
And now I think it's a case of Jonathan Ross having some blood to deal with and not the officials conferring to discuss what we were just discussing. So we'll take a timeout. We are at 157 pounds. Cahill of Clarion leading Ross of Lock Haven 3-2. You're listening to Lock Haven Wrestling on the Bear. The wrap job on Jonathan Ross just finished up. He's got a full white bandage wrap all the way around his forehead and the back of his head. They had to wrap him up pretty good. It's 3-2 Cahill as we start the second period. Cahill of Clarion in front, Ross on the ride to open the second. 23-9 Lock Haven overall.
Good job by there's Schwabe. Good job there by Ross as he goes to a Navy ride and brings Cahill back down. And Ross, this is a big ride for him. If he can get to a turn here, as he's got that cross wrist, he's got to be able to drive his legs and get his knee underneath the hip of Cahill. He's got it, and he's got a short boot in. So he's got some options here as he starts to put that arm bar in on the right side. But now he's going to look like he's working for a one-on-one on that left side. So he's got both of those locked up. We'll see what he does with it. But a tough ride here from Ross as he's able to slow down Cahill a little bit with this arm bar and one-on-one.
Is that part of the learning process for a freshman trying to figure out exactly how he wants to attack in certain situations?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all in what you're comfortable with. You always want to play to your strengths. And if you're good at something on top, I mean, you look at Shup's match. He knows what he's good at. He's good at a cross wrist and that roll-through tilt, and so he goes to it. Any chance he gets, he's going to go to it. So for Ross, maybe he hasn't quite figured that out yet, what works for him. We've seen a lot of different options from him. He throws the boot in. He's got a deep boot here, and it looks like we got a stall call against Ross as Cahill came to his feet, and Ross threw a desperation leg in. So that's just a part of the adjustment period, finding yourself, in all positions and seeing what works best for you.
After a minute 14 of riding time amassed for Jonathan Ross, it was Taylor Cahill with the escape. 4-2 the Cahill lead for Clarion. 22 seconds to go, second period. Cahill 2-0 against Lock Haven this year, but neither of those wins coming against Jonathan Ross. As Ross drives Cahill back with a double leg shot and finishes for the takedown late in the period to tie it up at 4. He will ride out the second, and we will go to the third, 4-4.
Great job by Ross late in the period. Great movement, heavy hands on the head, got Cahill coming up, got him going straight up, and was able to lower his level and just blow through him with a double leg. So great job to knot the match at 4. Has that riding time advantage as well. So just an escape here, will help him to build this lead.
Ross springs to his feet. He has the escape and riding time in his favor. He's up 5-4 with a minute 20 of riding time. 157-pound matchup. Just 165 to go. Lock Haven with a 23-9 lead. The headline, the falls early on from Adam Mackey at 174 and from Thomas Haynes at heavyweight. Both of those, Derek, matches that were close before the falls took place, and another shot from Ross, and you can see he's feeling himself a little bit now. Takedown, he's up 7-4.
What a great counter by Ross. He stepped right out of the low single attempt by Cahill and was able to just go around behind and score an easy takedown. And he made it look simple too, Schwabe, as he continues to build his lead, and that riding time is near locked. Coach Moore and Coach Carr might be telling him, hey, why don't you cut this guy and see if you can get a couple more takedowns, because he's got him close to broken at this point.
What are you seeing that tells you that Ross has him in that spot?
He's got his head down on the mat. He gave up his wrist really easy. And for Ross right now, he's looking to get some back points, able to suck that back with a nice little back pocket. And now he's going to get some backs here, and it looks like he's got 4 backs. So if he can ride him out, that's going to be a major decision and a nice win for Jonathan Ross if he can continue this.
11-4 the Ross lead, up to 2.5 minutes of riding time. Charlie Harris initially held up a hand for a stall on Ross, and they changed it quickly to Cahill. Ross already had a stall warning, so that's important. More back points for Ross, 4 more. It's 14-4, make it 15-4, plus the riding time, and Jonathan Ross. How about that? 4-4 to start the third. He goes 12-0 in the third period, and with the 2:49 of riding time, defeats Taylor Cahill of Clarion 16-4.
Yeah, solid win by Ross. I was worried about him, I'm not going to lie, Schwabi, in the beginning of this thing. When he was looking at the blood, he's like, hey, he's got blood on his back. Let's get a little stoppage here. but he was able to find a way. Come third period, really blew the doors off that match and really broke Cahill towards the end of that third period.
Lock Haven has absorbed a couple close losses. Perry at 141 against the terrific Zoccaro. Corey Hazel against Scott Marmel. So those are minor things that Scott Moore will look at and say we would have liked to have had those. But on balance, he has to be thrilled with what his team has brought to the table in front of the home fans tonight.
Yeah, I mean, really Lock Haven showed out tonight. 18-point lead right now with 2 matches to go with 1 match to go. I guess that was 157, Schwabi. I apologize. So, they really opened things up late that second half. They almost ran the table, like you said, a 1-point win for Zoccaro. But other than that, LHU just looked solid all around. Maybe they didn't necessarily feel their best in a couple of the matches, but they found a way to come out on top in some of those bouts.
And this sets up as a fantastic opportunity for Jared Seigrist, the true freshman from Mannheim, 19-17 on the year, against Evan Delong of Clarion. Delong, 14-7 junior from Kane, PA. Delong 2-0 against Seigrist this year. And Delong also the reigning PSAC champion, and at PSACs was named the most outstanding wrestler, beat a couple of the best Division II guys in the country to win that PSAC title.
Yeah, he had a solid performance at PSACs, beat Tyler Reinhardt of UPJ in the finals in a match I believe went the distance, full 11 minutes. So, he's a guy that's going to battle, and he's going to be someone that's going to be in the hunt to get that national qualifier spot at 165 pounds. Obviously right now not ranked in the first coaching pool, but, we still have a few more to go, and they have, 4 dual meets, like you said, Schwabi, until they wrap up things for their regular season.
Both of these teams wrestle tomorrow night. Lock Haven, senior night, hosting Sacred Heart. Clarion back home against Ohio. 1:24 to go, first period, no score. Seigrist, an early signee for Scott Moore in this 2016 class. And Coach Moore expected him to be an impact guy from day one.
Yeah, this was the guy that they were like, if this is, the centerpiece of our recruiting class from last season, this was going to be the guy. And Seigrist, in his true freshman campaign, dang near 20-win season. So you got to be pleased with that. And obviously, a lot of growth comes in that. He's got almost 40 matches this season, with today and tomorrow coming up. And then the EWL championships, he's going to get those 40 matches under his belt. And that's, Coach Moore's style. He loves guys that wrestle a lot of matches. And now really an early 2 call there. And then they got a reversal for DeLong, but he's a guy that I'm sure Coach Moore is happy with, his performance and his growth throughout this 2016-17 season.
28 seconds to go in the first. 2-2 after the matching takedown. Seigrist looking for the escape late in the first period as DeLong working riding time. Seigrist to his feet. Still has 14 seconds to break loose, trying to break the hands, and now trying to spring away. Can't do it. Still on his feet, though, with 7 seconds to come up with the escape. And DeLong riding him to the edge of the mat. Final second, and Seigrist unable to get out. It'll be 2-2 after 1. And when you tell the Jared Seigrist story in 2016-2017, he was not supposed to be the guy at 165. He was ticketed for 174, and then obviously Chance Marsteller, everything happening off the mat with that. And Seigrist volunteered, said, I will bump down to 165, and let's see what happens. Seigrist wasn't necessarily a guy, and I might have misspoken. I believe he may have bumped up, but he was not originally going to be a 165-pounder, and he has stepped up and done what Scott Moore's team needed him to do.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing is he he wants to be in the lineup. He's just like DJ Felman, guys that we said they wanted to find a way in this lineup, and they made it happen. And he gave himself, he created his own opportunity out of an opening, and so he's really answered the call, and I'm sure Coach Moore, that speaks a lot to Seigrist's character and wanting to help this LHU team make it to that next level.
And I did speak correctly. He was going to be a 174-pounder, probably ticketed behind Tyler Wood to start the year, but an opening at 165, and Seigrist has said, that's mine. I'm going to make the best of it, and he has, as he's on the ride to start the second period. Riding time now at 3 seconds, so it's basically non-existent.
And it looks like they're going to look to see if there was locked hands. And it looks like they're going to give a warning to Coach Ferraro for questioning the official, and he may be challenging the call of whether there was locked hands. Now I'm going to question if there was baiting by Delong, as wrestling fans know, if you intentionally put a point down on the mat knowing that the guy has his hands locked, that can be considered baiting just to get the point. So it looks like they're just going to squash it and leave it at that. So no change in the score there.
Seigrist still working the ride. A couple nice lift and returns from Seigrist in this second period. As we tick down the midway point of the second period, Lock Haven has the match wrapped up. And that makes this just an ideal situation for Seigrist. He can wrestle relaxed and go out and try to execute his game plan, and whatever happens, happens. But it would do wonders for his confidence after losing 2 to Delong this year, as Delong scores the escape to go up 3-2. If Seigrist can find a way to defeat this guy heading into EWL is a month away.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Whenever you're wrestling guys 3, 4, 5 times in a season, it becomes tougher and tougher, and you can see that gap close more and more. So for a guy like DeLong, he's just trying to find ways to win. Seigrist, he's starting to figure out a little bit more each time he wrestles DeLong, tighten that gap, and it gets tough to beat a guy over and over again. So really, even though Seigrist has been on the losing end of things, you got to think that the advantage is in his favor, having lost to him a couple times.
Seigrist tried to power through DeLong. DeLong based out well. Final 8 seconds of the second period. 3-2 the DeLong lead for Clarion at 165 pounds. The finale of this EWL battle. Lock Haven going to finish 4-2 in the EWL. Another mark of progress for Scott Moore in his 4th season.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime that you can have a winning record in the EWL, that's, kudos to the coaching staff and the guys that have been, sent out in the lineups for those duels. Obviously, Ryder and Edinburgh, they're the top 2 teams in the league. Lock Haven, though, closing that gap, though, with these programs. So much to what you alluded to, earlier in the broadcast, Schwabi, 2017-2018 could be a big year where, maybe LHU can leapfrog, those guys and look towards that EWL title.
DeLong on the ride to open the third. He rolls Seigrist back down to the mat. Lock Haven, we saw the match against Ryder. Lock Haven pushed Ryder to the brink. Just could not come up with a couple key wins as the night wore on. But they've reached a point now, Lock Haven has, where that's what's in front of them. The 2 class programs right now in the EWL, Edinburgh and Ryder, and those are the hurdles that Lock Haven has to clear. And you look at the talent in the program right now, and the possibility may exist next year as the wrestlers go out off to our right down below with 1:23 to go in the third. 3-2 DeLong of Clarion in the lead. Riding time not a factor at the moment.
Yeah, and for Seigrist right now, he's just got to keep doing what he's doing, get to his feet, and come up. And there was a close interlocking call there. I don't know if DeLong had his hands locked, but it was very close. As DeLong riding tough, he drops to the ankle and pulls Seigrist back down. But if you're Seigrist, just keep doing what you're doing. Get to your feet, try to get it to a point where his hands are locked, control wrist, and shake those hips away and come out and get that escape. He's close. He's been there, but Delong doing a good job of playing the edge, driving him forward and forcing him to work his way out of bounds.
Riding time at 20 seconds, so Seigrist with 40 seconds to get out. On the restart, to his feet again. Has the feet loose. Now just trying to break the wrists to spin out. Can't quite do it, and Delong will take him out again with 53.3 to go. 38 seconds of riding time.
Yeah, right now if you're Seigrist, it's all about that first move. You got to get a jump off the whistle. Even if you can, you have cautions to burn, and a lot of guys don't think about that. You have these cautions to burn as well. If you can get a jump, use it. Use them to your advantage. Try to get to your feet, beat that whistle. Right now, Delong riding tough on top, and he had that roll through with the claw as Seigrist almost cleared his hips and comes out. 52 seconds riding time, Schwabe. He just got to keep working.
39.1 to go in the third. 3-2 Delong, the Clarion lead. One more shot for Seigrist to get out and eliminate riding time. On the whistle, Seigrist again to his feet. Tries to roll through, and is he out? The clock kept going, and now he gets the escape point at 102. Will Lock Haven challenge?
I think you have to at this point. I mean, you haven't used it all night, and it can, change the face of this match, could send it to overtime. But Seigrist, he cannot give up a takedown here. Really, it doesn't even matter.
Final 12 seconds of regulation. Riding time says 1:02 right now. I looked up when he was out. The clock was at 59 seconds. Charlie Harris had not given the indication, though, as the clock expires, and Nate Carr Jr. just sprinted to the scorer's table. I mean, accelerated there, and he's going to put a good throw in on this challenge flag.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, at this point, the match is over. If you let it go and they have the challenge in their pocket to use, I think that's Coach Moore's challenge flag to grab, but Coach Carr didn't really care. He wanted that challenge. But the way I saw it, it was really 57, 58 seconds left. He cleared his hips. The lock was broken. But you really just have to look at the clock, see where everything stands, and it has to be inconclusive as well. It can't be where, maybe it is. It's got to be clear that the hands were broken, that were pushed away, and then the hips were free, or else, it's going to stand as is, and it'll be a 4-3 victory for Delong.
If the call was reversed, it would be 3-3. We would be headed to overtime at 165. The officials examining the video right now. I don't know if it'll be conclusive on the replay, but in real time, I agree with you. I thought he had it.
Yeah, I mean, he got his hips clear, and I don't know if even him kind of sinking his hips back in and trying to circle might have kind of messed him up in the sense that it gave Delong an opportunity to lock his hands. But it seems like they're kind of checking the clock and checking the video and where things stand there. And no takedown. I guess that was their challenge. I thought they were going to challenge the riding time, which would have given, another opportunity for them. But they went with seeing if they get the takedown to get the win that way. But obviously that didn't pan out for them.
So Evan Delong defeats Jared Seigrist 4-3 with the riding time. And the final score tonight, Lock Haven 27. Clarion 12. Will be back with the post-match wrap-up. You're listening to Lock Haven Wrestling on the Bear Country.